really building activities within the space that encourage a true sort of understanding of their responsibility for the space. So Rolf gave an example of facilitating activities that were about learning one another's culture, and that you really would build on that over time. So he gave an example of a nail painting project where women of one piece of the community would come in, have their nails done, and they would tell their stories. And then the next group of women would come in from another part of the community, and they had to listen to those stories as they got their nails done. And over time, all these different stories within these various different parts of the community were told through the process of getting their nails done. And so it was one example of a creative way of engaging women in the community from various different walks of life, and sort of facilitating a process of understanding and using that space to do that. So that was one example of an activity that could happen in the space that encouraged or facilitated a process of getting to know one another. And so what we really started doing in this other group is trying to think about what are other activities that could build a sense of ownership, or and really moving from just flat activities to facilitating a process of ownership. So that's kind of as far as we've gotten. This is our question. So our question is really about how can Nicole and Anna build a process to facilitate true ownership, the community ownership in the space. So thinking about your own libraries and the environments you're working in, how would you go about this, or how do you go about doing this kind of work, really building true ownership?
Well, the first thing is to tell them that the space is for them. It's a space for the community, it's a space for them. So they can do whatever they want there. They can play guitar, they can, you have a piano, they can play, or they can dance there, or they, and if you have some leaders in the community, to invite the leaders of the community, to invite the other people of the community, to have more people inside the library, and to feel free. Maybe you can have a space, a free space for a group. When we were planning the library, we didn't have it, but we were supposed to have a space, even if that people of that community wanted to get married there. So they would have a space to get married there. And I think it's a very good idea, because, or if they want to have a feast there, and they can have a different door from the library, but it's all together. And to present, well, if they want to present a book, or if they want to tell stories, or if they want to tell stories, or the grandparents telling stories to the children, all the things about oral story, about matrimony.
So this has come up at I think just about every table. Finding ways of getting the community to share stories seems to be a running theme of building ownership. Does that resonate with you? Does that seem like a good way to facilitate that process of ownership, is encouraging storytelling? Yeah.
Just my imagination. I would start with a competition for people. People can write down their ideas for the activities in the place, and everybody can vote for their the best activities, and the best, let's say 7 activities will be organized within the month, and the 7 activities might get some grants or something. So just to encourage people to come and to vote and to offer their ideas. I would start this way, and then I will see how it works.
So one of the activities you would recommend is truly handing it off to the community and say, here's this space, decide what we're going to do in it, vote on it, and make it happen. And yes? Through
competition, through voting, and through freely proposing different ideas.
You know, that reminds me of, as a side, is in my town in San Francisco, there's an ice cream shop that opened, and as people come and use the ice cream, you get to vote on the flavors you want to see offered, and they only offer 6 flavors, and so they have this whole way for you to go in, and you get to vote once every time you go in, and it's been really a fun way of bringing in new and interesting flavors of ice cream, which is it's a great example of that. Other activities that would really facilitate a process of ownership?
In our country, mostly people go to the librarian. And to the library, they are all members only. And so the community doesn't feel that they belong to the library. And so we need a lot of promoting to the community that library is a public space. And so we have to provide multifunction room for holding any program which is needed by the community. So library as a public space, public library as public space is not really understood by some people in my country. So we have to do a lot of promotion, encouraging them to use the library.
So part of it is they may have a challenge of helping people in the community understand that this space actually is for them. They may not know that.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yes.
So to even get to the point of people voting for or creating an activity around what the space should be used for, first knowing the space exists and it's for them.
Yeah.
Bring your friend, and your friend will be given a library card, for example.
Yeah, or you go out and see what is happening in the community, and the library goes out where people are, and then do things that you do in the library, and then maybe you can attract people to go to the library because they get curious. So they could go out and participate in things in the community, and then ask people what they would like in this village square.
Another thing is when you're out in the city, people see you, and it's also good to get network. It's a very good way to brand the library.
Yes.
And people will come up to ask, what is this? What is happening here? And you talk with them, and they remember who you are. And if they have a project where maybe they could use you, then they will come back to you and ask, do you want to join our project? So there's a lot of advantages by going outside the library.
Yeah.
This interaction and partnerships building.
The other thing is, if you have a virtual space, to invite every people to use it. Because maybe they are not going to have it at home, but they know they can go to the library and they can use it, and they can send emails, or maybe they can build a website of themselves. And that's marvelous. Because we were speaking yesterday that we convinced a major that the lady wanted to show how she does the marmalade. And she began telling I want to have my website teaching the people how to do the marmalade. Or maybe if you are in a community of fishermen, they can go to the virtual space and to see there how is the price of salmon. I'm speaking about Chile, and they discovered one day that they can ask more for the salmon because they discover in the web. So at that moment, every sailorman went to the library. And the other thing I agree, that you have to go out from the library. If you stay sitting in the library, you will never meet the people.
Never.
Network. I think network is
the key word.
the key word.
Can you think of examples of where you've seen building ownership, really good examples in the libraries in your own community, where this is happening? Maybe not for a specific space, but where you've seen that transformation of a community taking ownership for a particular service or aspect of the library.
Yes, I shared with them earlier on, where in my library we work hand in hand with the community through, of course, the leadership. And whenever we have events for the library, we get to prepare for the event. The library staff together with the community, everybody shares responsibility in preparing for that event. So thereafter we then come together to evaluate together with the
So in this particular example, it's the community side by side with the library planning together.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very important point.